What is up, everybody? I totally shifted camera angles, so I was like, hey, oh wait, didn't see you there. Welcome to Industry Explorers Live. We're going to be talking about something very interesting to me today. We've got Dana Mills with us of Silver Barn Cattle. So without further ado, let me introduce you to her. The Mills family owns and operates a cattle ranch in southeast Kansas. Dana has created Silverborn Cattle as a way to help 4-H and FFA kids learn how to be successful with their cattle projects. Through both live events at the ranch as well as virtual activities, Dana and her family help kids establish livestock project goals and complete the daily activities necessary to achieve those goals. She feels fortunate to have found a way to marry her two passion projects of working with kids and cattle together. Fantastic, Dana. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Siobhan, how are you today? I'm excited to be here with you.
I'm really excited. We're next door neighbors. You're in Kansas. I'm in Missouri. This is really cool. We're like a hop and a skip away from each other.
When you're in the middle of the Midwest, yeah, everything seems pretty close.
Definitely, except for California, where my family is. So I want to know, okay, can you pick apart this photo? We were talking about this before going live, and I'm like, this is the stuff that my viewers need to listen to. I learned something. This is a rainbow herd. Dana, tell me about this photo in the background here.
Oh, I had to laugh and tease you and give you a bad time because we were talking about finding stock photos for your industry. I use all of my own photos. I never can find an appropriate stock photo that represents kind of our cattle and our herd. And so I had to tease you about the stock image that you found, because what we see here, my husband and I jokingly call it's a rainbow herd, because you see a cow of every color out there. And I mean, don't get me wrong, in Kansas, in Missouri, we see rainbow herds sometimes, but I wouldn't say this is necessarily representative of our herd. There would be lots more black cattle, probably black white face maybe, and definitely no longhorns. I noticed a few longhorns, so I'm guessing maybe this was a little bit further south than Kansas is where this photo was probably taken. So yeah, I just had to tease you about your stock photo. I love it though.
I know, it's hilarious. And honestly, if I search for a stock photo for a stagehand in the entertainment industry, I get the weirdest results. I'm like, that is not what a stagehand is. Oh boy, the handlebar mustache. Although, you know what? Now that I think about it, I do know some people with some killer facial hair who are stagehands. So what are you going to do? So can you talk to us about what the agricultural industry is about? Like, take it from the broad, big picture and then zoom us in to where you're at with what you do.
That is a massive question. So I'll try my best to start big picture and then come back down to what we do at our ranch. But I think typically when you think about agriculture, you think about the production of food, probably. You're probably thinking about crop production, vegetable production, even fruit trees for agriculture. And then you're thinking about animal agriculture, like livestock production, whether it be, you know, chickens or goats, or in our case, beef, hogs, any protein production. I would say all of that would be considered part of the agriculture industry. But technology has made so many improvements and advancements that ag is way more broad than that, way, way, way beyond that. But I just think big picture, that's what we typically think of agriculture is food production. So narrowing that down to what do we do? Well, the segment that my family is involved in would be the protein production of food, or animal agriculture, specifically cattle. We have a beef cattle herd here in Kansas, around 500 head of mama cows. So we produce a cow-calf operation. So we are kind of the beginning point of putting that food into the production chain. We're the ones that are raising the cows, that are raising the baby calves out here in the pasture, that will grow to be bigger calves that probably will end up pasture grazed, maybe in a feedlot, and eventually in a processing plant, grocery store, and on your dinner plate. Does that
sum it up? Yeah, so you're basically in the beef industry.
Pretty much, I am in that segment of agriculture. That's right.
So So it sounds like you're part of like the very beginning, like as far as getting food to someone's dinner table, you're part of the very beginning process where do you like on your cattle ranch, do you guys birth calves?
Absolutely. Every day right now, that is the time of year we're in right now.
You're
Yeah,
just bringing new life into this world.
we have new babies coming every day right now. And in fact, I have kind of a side story to tell you. We had a new baby
Please.
that the mama stepped on it. It just accidents happen sometimes, especially if you've got a lot of cattle. Eventually you're going to have an accident. Something's going to go wrong. And we had a baby calf that his mama stepped on him completely by accident on its shoulder, so he couldn't stand up. So we have been feeding this calf by hand, mixing a bottle 3 times a day, and we go out there and help him get up. And I mean, he's doing pretty good. He's a lively little thing, but then we'll bottle feed him, but he's not mobile enough to be able to follow around mama. So unfortunately, she's not going to be able to raise him. We're going to do the raising. He's now finally able to stand up on his own, but he just can't motor and go very well. So that's one of the many projects we have as ranchers is we take care of them no matter what stage they're in. So even if it's a baby that got stepped on, we're giving it a bottle 3 times a day and keeping it in the barn and taking care of it.
So do you have a veterinarian that's like on site that works
No,
for you guys?
we don't.
No.
We don't. We consult with a vet. But no, we don't have a vet on site. Sometimes in the rancher world, it's a little bit of you learn as you go. You learn from your vet, trial and error. I know you'd asked me a little bit about what kind of background and what kind of education. And
Yeah.
because you learn so much on the job as you go, there's no required education or certification or degree or anything like that. I think the biggest thing is the drive to do it and the willingness to learn and try something new and figure it out as you go, probably.
So if someone wanted to get into cattle ranching, they just kind of need to reach out to someone who's already doing it, ask them for advice, but there's no real like college degree or trade or just certifications or certificates that they really need to pursue in order to be able to start their career in cattle ranching.
Well, good question, because there are certain degrees you could pursue, like in ranch management, as an example. So I'm not going to say that that's not a route that you might want to take, but I'm just saying you don't necessarily have to go that route. Most people that end up in the kind of agriculture I'm in, the livestock production ag, most of them probably grew up on a farm or around agriculture. Maybe they were in 4-H or FFA as a kid, so they got some of their basic experience that way growing up. Maybe they got a little older and decided to rent some grass, buy a few cows, start raising their own herd, and it grew from there. But I know for my husband and I, we're fifth or sixth generation. I think you count my kids, 6th generation of ranchers. So
Wow.
some of the information is passed down over the years. Sometimes the land is passed down over the years. Sometimes, well, the cows don't live forever, but sometimes the genetics that your family has built in your ranching operation over the years gets passed down to the next generation. So there's multiple ways to get involved. But yeah, there are some specialized degrees out there. And I think it would be an excellent opportunity to get further educated in an area like that. But you can also do small certifications where maybe you spend a weekend learning how to artificially inseminate cows. How about that one? Did you know that existed?
No, I did not. I knew this was going to be a great live stream. I know nothing of this industry. I never considered that. Okay.
Yeah.
So to learn how to do that, do you walk away with like a certificate saying you've received this training to artificially inseminate a cow?
There's different levels of it. You could learn just to do it on your own operation. And I think most commonly, I went through it. Oh my gosh, it's been years ago, 15 years ago. I don't artificially inseminate our cows anymore. I went through the course, so I'd learn all about it. I knew at that time how to do it, the equipment that you needed, the procedures, all of that. But my husband has gone through it since then, and I think he's repeated that several times. So he's the guy at our ranch, plus another neighbor of ours that works for us part-time. Those 2 guys do all the AIing at our ranch. So they can help other people, but they're not actually, certified in doing it as a business. That would be kind of a different level of education and certification if you're going to go around and do it for other people as well. So they just do it for our own herds. And I just kind of get to assist, and my kids kind of assist and help. So that's just one example. I mean, boy, you could get specialized. You could learn how to do hoof trimming even, and kind of use that as a specialized niche. There's no formal training for that either. It's amazing about this industry. There's so many things that you can do. And once you start to sit down and brainstorm, you're like, wow, there's lots of different opportunities. And some of these things can be things that a college kid could do to help them earn their way through college. Or if they went to a technical school to focus on one thing, these are little side gigs they could do to help earn their way. Something that my kids have talked about pursuing. As you know, I work with families that have show cattle, and the kids show cattle in shows all across the country and everything. Well, sometimes you need a professional to help you prepare that animal for show. So that might be clipping them, trimming their hair, getting them all pretty and ready to go. Or it might be fitting them at the show. You actually use spray cans of adhesive and we call it fit the animal, or I guess you could say groom. But you get the leg hair just right and the tail head on their tail just right. And you even actually fit that switch on the end of their tail. And I mean, there's so much goes into it that that's another thing that I know a lot of college kids do as kind of a side gig, is this clipping and fitting to help families get show cattle ready. So boy, I'm going all different directions. I've told you about like general ranching and raising cattle, and I guess we've narrowed it on down even further into the niche of show cattle.
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy. Okay, so trying to gather my thoughts here. So farm to table, let's talk about that process real quick. In fact, I'm gonna put a little banner here. All right, because I want to talk about this process. You're at the beginning of this process where you are raising and literally bringing new life into this world. You raise them, and then at some point when they're big enough or old enough, they go to a processing plant. And then from there, it gets distributed in like beef patties or, whatever distributor they sell it to. And then you buy it at the grocery store. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. And in fact, we do a little bit of sales directly. I guess you can almost say directly from ranch to plate. Every year we have some cattle that we keep, and we call it a fat pen, where that's where our cattle go to get fat and get ready to butcher. So we will put maybe a dozen head. It varies from year to year how many. Put them in the fat pen and raise them, feed them out, and then schedule. And the processing date for the locker is the tricky part. Since last year's pandemic and all of the panic about everything and the possibility of food shortages because of the problems with supply chain, we have to book about a year out now for an appointment to get something butchered. So we've got to schedule it all out and plan in advance. When something goes in the fat pen, we have an idea of when we're going to be putting in the fat pen, when it's going to be ready, and when we're going to take it to the locker. And then we have customers that will buy that animal once it's at the locker. It's called based on the hanging weight of that carcass at the locker. So we're not directly handling it as far as the processing end of it, but they buy it once it hits the locker. And then the locker works with them from there on out to meet whatever requirements they have to process it, hamburgers, steaks, roasts, whatever they want. And then they pay us by the pound, and then they get their meat and go home with it. So that's one way that it's direct from rancher to consumer. But the typical way is like you described, where we'll raise it up and we'll probably only keep it to a certain point, and then we'll sell it at a market or a sale barn or direct to a contact that we have that takes them to the next stage. And then often they're grazed out for a while. And then kind of the final portion of it, typically a minimum of 4 months or more, then they'll go into a Western Kansas feedlot. or, it doesn't have to be Western Kansas, but as an example. And then they'll have a ration that will, add a lot of pounds on them there at the end, get them fattened up to where the cuttability of the meat's where you want it. And then ultimately they're taken to a processor. And yeah, that goes to the grocery store or goes to the restaurant, whoever's ordered that.
So then can I ask about quality assurance and because you were talking about trimming and, you were talking about showing cattle. So a couple questions there. When they're on your ranch, how do you ensure that they're healthy? I guess. Well, I'm sure a lot of people care about that, right?
Oh yeah, and that's important to know. And first of all, I'd like to mention that us, along with just about any rancher out there, they'd love to show you their operation. They would love for people to come see where their food comes from and how their food is handled and taken care of and ultimately processed. I mean, the doors are open. Absolutely. I think so many people do have a little bit of misunderstanding, and maybe there's been some bad media, and ranchers are typically very open to having people, the consumer, come out to the farm and the ranch and see how it goes. But health protocol, we do work with our vet. And so the vet knows what we're doing. Anytime we have vaccinations, like pre-breeding vaccinations before breeding season, you want to vaccinate your cows. When baby calves, hit the ground, no different than people.
I was just going to say, yeah, no different than when a baby is born.
You'll need some vaccinations. Sometimes they'll get sick. You don't want to leave them sick. You need to treat them. If they get sick with pneumonia or something like that, you're going to want to treat them. Now, typically, it says right on the bottle of the medicine what the withdrawal time is. So we wouldn't send anything to the locker or, put it into the food chain until we know that medicine withdrawal time has passed and that medicine's out of their system. So that's a really big part of that quality assurance, is to make sure if you do happen to doctor something, you're following the label and the guidelines. And I think all the ranchers are really good about doing that. But you wouldn't take a sick one to the sale barn anyhow, or to the locker anyhow. You'd want to make sure it was well and healthy and doing really good. So yeah, work with our vet for a standardized program. They keep all the records. Anytime we go across the state lines, we have to get health papers. That's just the main reason of that is you don't want to transfer any cattle diseases from state to state. So when we go to shows that are across the state line, we have health papers. Wow. I think it's important. If you're gathering a lot of cattle into one facility someplace and they're coming from all over the country, it's good to know everybody has their health papers, everybody's in good shape. So you don't bring any diseases back home to your herd.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's awesome. So, okay, one question popped up for me. Sure. I know what makes my dog happy. He goes crazy for walks. I mean, have you ever seen a cartoon so excited that their pupils dilate and they're just like, oh, that's my dog with walks. Right. So what makes cattle happy? What genuinely makes cattle happy or excited?
Well, first of all, I've got to back up and say, usually cattle are not pets, so they're not going to maybe react the same way a dog would. Now that I said that, yeah, we have some that turn into pets. When you start showing cattle to show what you have in your herd and everything, they have a tendency to sometimes become pet-like. But I got really good advice from a stockman one time that said, don't make them crazy pets. Don't make them goofy, silly pets, because somebody might get hurt then. So don't lay and take a nap on your heifer or your steer, which my kids have been known to do that. Just don't take those extra chances. But anyhow, what makes a cow happy? Sunshine, green grass, 70-degree weather, something that Kansas only gets about that much time of during the year. And then we go from one extreme to the other. So plenty of fresh water in the ponds, that kind of stuff. That's probably, if I could get inside a cow's head, that's probably going to be what makes a cow happy. The show cows, what makes the show cow happy? Because that's a different story. Now we're talking pets,
Yeah.
When they get their bath every day. Can you believe that?
Every day. Oh, show cattle though, not regular
Yeah. Not necessarily shampoo. They only get shampooed about once a week, but they'll get rinsed down and combed out and even blown dry with a great big cow blow dryer. Yeah, once a
Not a
week.
leaf blower, but like, is it a specific? Let's
Oh,
talk about showing cattle since we're there, and that's what you do. So, this is it may be a dumb question, but do you really have like a specialized hair dryer for cattle, or is it truly like a leaf blower with a lot of power?
it's a specialized livestock blower. Yeah. And
That's
it is
awesome.
powerful. It'll
Oh, that's
blow your
funny.
hair back, blow your hair off. Yeah, it is powerful. Yeah, yeah, we really do. It's crazy how sometimes the extremes we go to when we do show cattle. But you know what? They do it with the horse industry. They do it with the dogs. I mean, there's so many shows out there to showcase, especially if you're a breeder, to showcase whether it be a dog or a cow what
Okay.
you've got and the quality that can come from your ranch. And the other thing that's really neat about it, and again, it doesn't matter if it's a dog or a cow or a horse, but the learning opportunity for kids that are involved in that is pretty spectacular too, because it's a big responsibility to be taking care of that animal every day and to train that animal to do what they need to do when you go into a show ring. And, you know, like I don't care what animal it is, it's neat when a kid has an opportunity to take on a responsibility like that. They're going to learn so much from that. And I love it when the kids are involved in cattle and livestock, and then I can work with them because I feel like there are future voices to talk about our industry and to portray our industry. So, you know, the more we can teach them and get them involved, the better our industry is going forward.
So when you're showing cattle, how would I look up an event like that on the internet? Would I like just do a Google search for cattle show or showing livestock? Like, how do I look that up?
Well, there's probably some well-known main events. Like it didn't happen this last year, but out of Denver, the National Western Livestock Show. It's kind of a well-known one. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not. So there's some big shows. Yeah, I think if you probably Google national cattle shows or something like that, it'll come up. I know if you go to Facebook, there's tons and tons of things. If you even pop in Spring Livestock Show in Kansas as an example, then there'll be lots of things that pop up. So there's all kinds of opportunities anywhere from a local level to, yes, a national level or an international level for showing livestock.
And do you guys have trade shows for the beef industry?
Sure, you bet.
What are the trade shows called?
Well, often the trade shows will go along with one of the national shows. And sometimes they have meetings like specific breeds. You've heard of the Angus breed, the Simmental breed. We have Maine on Jew cattle. Sometimes there'll be meetings that go along with those shows that are specific breed meetings. Sometimes there'll be the trade show set up where there's booths that anything from new kinds of feeder equipment for your cattle to like the show cattle thing. There's going to be booths set up on all these products that you might want to look into for your show cattle. Different feeds and supplements, just all kinds of things livestock related. You might find at a trade show for something like this.
So for someone who is thinking about getting into this kind of industry, it would benefit them to look for these trade shows, look for these cattle showings, reach out to ranchers like yourself. Do you have any other advice for people who are really wanting to get into this industry?
Reach out to local ranchers. Absolutely. It's a great place to start. Local extension, local FFA. I mean, all of those people can help and advise. But yeah, if you're wanting to raise cattle, but you haven't decided yet what kind of breed of cattle or anything like that, going to a show is a good opportunity. Often there's bulls on display, the cow-calf pairs. This gives you a good opportunity to see the cattle, go talk to the producers of the cattle. You might live in a part of the country that one breed isn't going to work as well as another breed. I know there's usually different cattle up in, you know, the hills of North Dakota, South Dakota, versus those longhorns you showed me on the screen that are often in the southern states. So
Yeah.
the cattle you choose is going to depend a lot about, you know, where you live. So get input from the people around you, and definitely go to shows to get an idea of the cattle that are out there and the genetics that are available for you.
Can you tell viewers who may not know, what are 4-H and FFA kids. What does that mean?
I would love to tell. This is one of my favorite things to talk about. I would love to tell your viewers about that. Those are youth programs that young people can get involved in. The FFA program is usually part of a school program. And so that often starts junior high, high school, maybe sixth grade to be involved in an FFA program. It used to be called Future Farmers of America. They've lost that title because it kind of stereotypical pigeonholes you into the farmer, and ag is so much more broad than just farmer. So those initials just mean FFA. They don't mean farmer anymore. So that is a great organization that youth can get involved in. And like I said, it's typically through a school. Then 4-H is typically through a state extension service, like in Kansas State University is extension service. So there are county programs and district programs that kids can get involved in. And the neat thing is 4-H is way more than just livestock and agriculture. 4-H can be studying rocketry. It can be shooting sports. It can be a project that focuses on reading projects. It could be focusing on citizenship or leadership. Lots of public speaking opportunities. I mean, the 4-H just is, it's a big bundle of opportunity, I guess is what I'd like to call it. I've mostly always been in the livestock and the ag end of it, but my kids are involved in other projects. I mean, my 11-year-old is in clothing buymanship, where he has learned how to bargain shop and how to match his outfits together and how to read the labels to know how to take care of his clothes and how to sort them for the laundry. So I'm telling you, there's all different kinds of things kids can learn if they're involved in 4-H programs. And
what's the minimum age requirement to be involved?
It's going to vary a little bit from state to state. In Kansas, it's 7 is the minimum age. Some states, I think it's a little bit older than that. I think Kansas might be one of the youngest. But there's also a program for the littles. It's called Clover Buds. And it's kind of like doing mini little 4-H activities. They're not a full-fledged member and have all the requirements like keeping record books and things like that. But they get a taste of 4-H if they're a Clover Bud.
Did I hear that right? Clover butt or Clover bud?
I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm so sorry.
I have to be careful how I pronounce my words. Clover bud. Well, see, I'll back up. The 4-H emblem is a 4-leaf clover, and the 4 leaves on it are the 4 H's. Head, heart, hands, health. And so the little kids are clover buds. They're haven't bloomed into the full clover yet.
That's really cute, though. I really like that. You know, I actually have a little cousin who I think would be perfect for these programs, and I think her parents might want to think about getting her involved because they're in California. They raise all kinds of stuff: pigs, chickens. Yeah. I don't even know what else. They do a lot. You know, but I think it's really cool when people want to be self-sustaining, you know, and they want to raise their own and take care of their own livestock and their own plants and such. I really admire that. That takes a lot of work and a lot of discipline. And that's really great discipline for the kids. That's really great. It sounds like it's just such a great opportunity to teach kids responsibility, to teach kids ownership and leadership and teamwork and communication. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, like I mentioned, the public speaking opportunities are there. Record keeping, that's another big part of 4-H, because you also could turn in record books, and that's actually judged, and then prizes are awarded and everything for record keeping. The opportunities for getting involved in your community, learning about citizenship and leadership in your community is a really big part of 4-H as well. And I would say almost any hobby a young person has, there's a 4-H program it would fit in. And the reason I say that, we have a broad one called Self-Determined. And with the Self-Determined project, you pick your own goal and you keep on your, write out your records of what you're planning to do, what's your goal, keep track of all of your expenses. And so you get to have your own Self-Determined project as well. So yeah, anything can fit into that category.
Accountability too. That's so important. I love that. I am so glad that I get to explore this with you. Thank you for taking me through these opportunities, because now when I meet people who are going to be perfect for these opportunities, I now have you as a reference, and I have different places where I can point people. I'm really excited for this.
Sure. Yeah. Tell them, call Dana, get a hold of Mama Mills, because I will help them find the right person to get them connected. No matter what state they're in, we can figure that out easily and get them connected if this is something that they think would be a fun opportunity to explore. And another thing, along the same lines, I don't mean to change the subject too much, but we see more, especially after the pandemic, we see more and more families doing homeschooling or online schooling. And sometimes you worry about socialization for your kids when you're doing that. My family actually has done online school through Kansas Connections Academy for 5 years now, or going on 6 years, something like that. And when we first got involved, that was the question I heard all the time. What do your kids do about socialization? Are you kidding me? We are on the road all the time, involved in activities. I mean, the pandemic did slow everybody down a little bit, but yeah, these kids, they have to learn how to prioritize and say no to some projects, because there's so many things to do. We could be gone all the time. No different than, playing basketball and being on the road to basketball tournaments all the time. We're on the road to cattle shows and speech tournaments and things like that.
Oh, that's fun. Speech tournaments. Is that also through the 4-H?
You can do speech competitions through 4-H and FFA both. And livestock judging is another really popular opportunity, and you judge all species. There's dairy judging. I mean, there's lots of cool things. I think
awesome.
You can even show rabbits and learn about rabbit judging, and chickens. I'm not really familiar with the rabbits and chickens, but yeah, somebody's got to judge all the livestock at the county fair. So they also teach kids how to judge.
That's really amazing. I had no idea that existed. Can you tell us about the Beef Showmanship 5-day challenge that you've got coming up?
I would love to tell you about that. Yeah. So that's kind of the thing that I've done to marry a couple of my passions together. I love working with kids and the 4-H kids, FFA kids, and I love working with cattle. I'd spend every day out in the barn with my heifers if I could. So I've married those two together by doing some cattle coaching. And so the 5-day challenge that I've got coming up is a way kids can learn virtually. I know it's sometimes hard. We struggled with it last year. It's hard to get together in person to learn different techniques for showmanship or anything else that might be related to your livestock projects. So the virtual thing is kind of becoming more and more popular. In fact, we did an online virtual show last spring when all of these spring shows got shut down and nobody could go anywhere and travel. So people submitted their entries via video, and we had nationally recognized judges judge our show virtually. Well, the 5-day challenge is a way for kids to learn virtually about showmanship, where we do mostly video interactions, and they get a new video every day for 5 days. And it kind of gives them a little assignment of something to go away and practice and work on and tune up their skills in that area. So it's just another way for us to provide an opportunity for kids to learn and get really good at something that they like to do in their projects.
So is this a 5-day challenge that everybody has to sign up for in advance, and then it's going to be like a one week thing, or can you sign up for this at any time?
As of right now, we've got it open. Well, I shouldn't say it's not open yet. The enrollment page isn't open yet, but once you sign up, it'll start dripping information to you every day. You'll get a new email every day. So it's self-paced though. So if you're busy one day and you miss it, you can make up that day later. So anybody could start about any time they want. The window for this will open up next week, but it's not like, okay, I have to start on Wednesday or I have to start on Friday. You could go ahead and sign up and start any day you want. And then the emails will drip to you each day that leads you to the video that explains what your challenge is to go out and practice and learn for that day. And then you'll come back and comment and let us know how it went. And then it starts over with a new one the next day. So yeah, it's kind of an open-ended thing. We don't really have an end time set on it. It's almost a beta program right now. We haven't done this particular type of challenge before. So we're going to do a test run over the next month or so to see how it goes, and then probably shut the doors on it tweak, fine tune, take input from our folks that have gone through it, and then relaunch it again. This is kind of our way to shift. We do a lot of things out here at our ranch where we have clinics and people can come out here. But for those that are like in California and live far away, that doesn't work really well. So this is why we're trying to shift and do things more virtually now. But we do have a live coming up as well. We have a live showmanship clinic here in Kansas at our ranch on April 3rd. So a variety of opportunities to get involved. One way or another, we can get you involved and get you learning.
I absolutely love it. So if you want to get involved with cattle ranching or cattle showing, go talk to Mama Mills. Let me flash everything across you can check out her blog. You can check out her website at silvercattle.com. Check out her Facebook, her Instagram at silver_barn_cattle. She's even got a Pinterest. And if you're on Clubhouse, she is at Dana Mills. So that's awesome. And check out her website. You said the registration page will be live next week.
Yeah, hopefully in just a few days. But I do have just a little sign up page. If you want to sign up, that way you don't miss it when the enrollment goes live. Just especially for your viewers here, Siobhan, I put together, it is just simply silverbarncattle.com/IE for Industry Explorers.
I love that so much. I'm so honored. I am definitely sending that. Like, first person I send it to is my cousin's family. They're going to love it. I hope they sign up for it. They should. And yeah, I will definitely share that link. So while I'm typing that up and having it scroll across the bottom, can you share some insider knowledge with showing cattle? I had no idea that you would like spray adhesive on their coat to like make sure and brush it and make sure it lines up perfectly. Can you just tell us some more about like what it's like behind the scenes?
Sure, I'll try. Okay, so this really isn't a secret. If you're showing cattle, you know this, but if you don't know anything about it, you might find this interesting. Not so much in the southern states, because in the southern states, they slick shear their cattle for shows usually. But Midwest, northern states, East Coast, they want to grow as much hair as possible on your cattle that are going to go to a show, because then after you grow this hair and do daily hair care and take care of your calf and make sure there's no dandruff and the skin is just right, after you do all this, then you're going to be able to clip the hair on your show calf and blend it to make the calf look full in certain places and smoother in other places. You know, blend in the shoulders, fill out the rump, straighten out the top line of the calf. It's an art. It really is an art. When you get your clippers out, it's kind of like having a paintbrush, and you clip that calf and shape that calf and mold that calf so it'll look just right then when you go to the show, and then you can fit it at the show and do your last minute touch-ups and everything. So yeah, there's a insider secret or tip, but it's not really a secret. But grow lots of hair on your calves if you're showing in the Midwest or northern states.
That's really interesting. I'm going to share my screen real quick. I love that. I feel so honored that you created a page /IE just for us. So if y'all are interested, check out silverbarncattle.com /IE. It'll take you to this page. Focus on showmanship. You can choose from an in-person workshop, which will be in April 3rd, virtual events for my family in California, and fill out your information at the bottom of the screen. Let them know what you're interested in. Check out their page. This is really cool stuff. I'm learning so much, and I'm really glad that you're here telling us about all these amazing opportunities if you want to get into this industry. So thank you again for that. And viewers, my explorers, fellow explorers, be sure to check that out. I'm very excited. This is very cool. So
well, thank you
for sharing that with us. I'm very honored.
Well, thank you for letting me talk about agriculture and cattle because I love those things. I'm really passionate about what we do here at the ranch, and I always love to talk about that. And if anybody has any further questions about where their food comes from or livestock agriculture, I'd love to answer those questions. So reach out to any of the different methods that we've mentioned here today to get a hold of me.
Absolutely. Dana, do you have any last minute words of wisdom or comments or thoughts that you want to share with our explorers today?
Sure. Here's one tip for you to leave with.
Yes.
If you do eat meat and you like a good steak, try it medium rare before you overcook it. You can always take it back to the grill if it's not quite done enough, but nothing beats a really good medium rare steak. And my favorite cut is a filet. That would be my favorite cut of steak.
You are speaking my language. Medium rare filet.
Yeah.
That is.
Are you hungry yet? It's about dinner time now.
I am getting hungry for that. Exactly. And I agree. If you haven't had steak for the first time yet, or if you have, but you haven't tried it medium rare, I highly recommend you take a bite of it. If you don't like it, you can have it medium or more, please. Don't. No, not well done.
Always go back on the grill. That's right. You're still going to have it at an internal temperature of 140. So it's still going to be safe to eat. Even though
that's a great life hack. That is for sure a great life hack.
Even though it looks red, the juiciness and the flavor is going to be excellent at a medium rare. Mm-hmm.
Do you like to pair your filet with any wine?
Not so much. I'm not really into it. I never have. I'm sure that that's another fine art that it'd be interesting to explore. But if I'm going to have a drink with it, I would probably go for something foo-foo like a pina colada. So, yeah, I'm not really good about pairing a wine with it.
Yeah, and with regards to having your steak medium rare, to at least try it. Mark is here tuning in with us saying, make it so good a vet can bring it back to life.
Oh, yeah, Mark.
That is a golden comment, Mark. Thank you so much for that. I love it. I love it. Well, guys, thank you for joining us. Dana, thank you so much. It was great meeting you on Clubhouse. I'm really glad we got to do this.
And it's been fun.
And on that note, explorers, check out Dana at silverbarncattle.com. Check out her Facebook, her Instagram. On Clubhouse, she's at Dana Mills. Make sure you subscribe to Industry Explorers. If you are interested in potentially winning a free rope access certification course, go to www.siobhancolleen.com/celebrating-100-subscribers. There's a link somewhere. I'm so awful. I should have shared a link, but I promise it's somewhere. Go try to win a rope access course. It's free to enter. The Raffle Press Technology is going to select a winner at random. And then if you win, all you got to do is get yourself to an Altius rope access facility and you get your free Sprat or Irata course, whichever one you choose. That's awesome. I am super glad I get this opportunity. So thank you for joining us, explorers. And until next time, I'll see you guys on our next adventure.
I do have one more question for you.
Yeah.
My cattle friends don't know what that rope access, they don't know what that is.
I've got just the solution for you. We have a video series called Start Your Career in Rope Access. We have an interview and a couple of short videos that kind of break it up into segments so you can learn, do I want to go Sprat or Irata? What is rope access? Let's talk about health in rope access. Let's talk about mental health. Let's describe the kind of gear that we use. So we do have those videos. Please check them out.
Great.
And I also recommend checking out the Rope Access and Climbing podcast by Mikey Stevenson. Shout out, Mikey. Please be on my show soon, guy. And yeah, please check out more Industry Explorers videos and be sure to subscribe, guys. Hope that answered your question, Dana.
Thank you. You bet.
I love it. Thank you, Dana. And thank you, explorers. Until next time, I will see you on our next adventure. Take care.